A shock to the nation's high court. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has died. Known for his sharply worded dissents and attacks on liberalism, Scalia's death rattling American politics in a critical election year. Good evening, I'm Riel Creighton. Just hours after that news broke, top Republicans taking to Twitter vowing to keep President Obama from appointing a replacement. 10 News has complete coverage. Our political analyst offering insight into how this will impact an already charged election season. But we begin with ABC News reporter Lana Zach in Washington, D.C. with the mark he left on the court.
Good evening. Justice Scalia's passing, his sudden death, has the potential to be a political game changer as the anchor of the court's conservative wing passes in the dusk of a liberal presidency.
Associate Justice Antonin Scalia was found dead of apparent natural causes at a resort in West Texas. He reportedly died in his sleep. Scalia was the longest-serving justice on the current United States Supreme Court, nominated by President Ronald Reagan in 1986.
Getting nominated to the Supreme Court is the culmination of a dream, of course, and I'm greatly honored that the president would have such confidence in me.
He was confirmed unanimously by the Senate and became the first Italian-American member of the court. Scalia quickly became the anchor of judicial conservatism, fiercely at odds with what conservatives call judicial activism.
Through the sheer force of his personality, he, for 3 decades, led the conservative movement in American law to roll back the era of liberal activism.
Scalia, nicknamed Nino, was widely known for his high intellect, his elegant writing, and his caustic wit. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a statement calling his late colleague, quote, an extraordinary individual and jurist, admired and treasured by his colleagues. Antonin Scalia leaves behind a wife and 9 children. He was 79.
And with Scalia's passing, there is already political jockeying. Some GOP leaders saying President Obama should not be the person to select Scalia's successor. Instead, they say the next president should have that honor. Reporting live from Washington, Lana Zach, ABC News. Back.
And political analyst John Dadian joining us now. John, as you just heard, we are already seeing some top Republicans vowing to prevent President Obama from appointing the next justice. So the question really is, how likely is that to happen?
I think it's very likely because the rules favor the Republicans. There's 2 things that are in play right now. The Republicans have control of the Senate, so that's a lot of power there as far as scheduling something. But to bring it, a candidate goes before the Judiciary Committee first, but then it has to be a vote of the whole Senate. The one who controls what goes to the full Senate floor is the Senate Majority Leader, and that's a Republican, Mitch McConnell. So he single-handedly, one senator can stop it.
Well, of course, Scalia, known as one of the most conservative justices on the court. What do you think this means for the courts? All of these big cases that are looming still before the court right now.
Again, there's 2 categories. They're in session right now. So there's been cases that have been heard with Scalia being one of the 9 justices hearing them that will be decided. So that's going to, change the dynamics of the discussion in the final vote. And then also there's still some cases coming up before they go on their summer break that now it'll just be 8 members on the court. So if they do block the President Obama's nomination, when they come back, even after their break, in the first Monday in October, there will still be only 8 people if they block his nomination.
Well, and that's a big if, because this is also, as you know, a highly charged election season. We're in the middle of a campaign. What do you think this means for the campaign and the next president?
Well, and we're talking about procedure and about how the senators vote. Keep in mind, of the current crop of Republicans, 2 of them are senators. So they're actually going to be involved in the process of doing that. So it's going to affect the campaign completely. Again, what I think the Democrats in general, and then Hillary Clinton in particular, are going to do is try to get public opinion saying that the Republicans are trying to block things and slow things down.
Well, thank you so much, John, for joining us. Huge political impact, obviously, his death.
Oh, he was a giant, and he will go down the history books as a giant in the legal field.
Okay, thank you, John. Well, if the Republican-held Senate refuses to entertain a nomination by President Obama and chooses to wait for the next president, it would be the longest Supreme Court vacancy in recent history. The longest vacancy ever happened under President John Tyler back in the 1840s. His nominees all failed, and the seat was eventually filled by his successor, President James Polk. Know every major development in this story the minute that it happens. Download the free 10 News mobile app to find out when the nominees are named and when Scalia's replacement is chosen. Well, now to more breaking news. A beloved community leader in Mission Beach has died after a hit-and-run crash. 10 News reporter Jeff Lasky is there live. Jeff, friends are gathering where this happened to remember Maruta Gardner.
Yeah, it has been so sad here, and you can see this memorial that just popped up within the last few hours. In fact, this balloon right here that says love literally just arrived about 30 seconds ago. Friends constantly coming here to remember an amazing woman, Maruta Gardner. The painful thing for them, of course, they have this beautifully painted memorial. She was known for painting over graffiti, but the paint here from where she was hit last night is a painful reminder of how she died. Maruta Gardner was hit by a drunk driver last night. Throughout the course of the day, friends have been coming here to Mission Beach, making this memorial here along the wall, remembering a woman who was an educator here, a school principal, and rose to a very high position of prominence in the education community here, and after her retirement remained dedicated to her community, using this gray paint to paint over graffiti along the walls here along Mission Beach. She was doing that late last night around 11 o'clock when she was hit by a suspected drunk driver. He was arrested after trying to drive off just a few minutes later. Police say it looks like a road rage incident. That driver might have hit another car, which then chased after the driver who ended up hitting Maruta Gardner right here at this area. So the paint left behind here outside from where she was hit splattered all over the ground. Friends continuing to come up to remember her. We're learning a little bit more about that driver. We're told today 23 years old. Gardner did die this morning, so that will certainly change the charges that man will end up facing after her death. Live in Mission Beach, Jeff Lasky, 10 News.
Now to a 10 News Pinpoint weather alert. Big waves and strong currents creating dangerous conditions along our coast. We have team coverage. Meteorologist Craig Herrera is tracking how it will impact your Sunday plans, but we begin with Jessica Chen live in Ocean Beach.
Yeah, and the waves here have gotten so big here in Ocean Beach that officials have closed off the pier you see behind me. No one is allowed to walk on it. Now, in this video shot earlier today, you can see the waves crashing against the pier. The waves are expected to be between 4 to 8 feet high, with sets possibly getting up to 9 feet. But of course, with all these high surfs, swimming conditions can be dangerous. People are also asked to be careful near the seawalls because the waves can potentially go over. And people we spoke to here say it's not every day you see waves this big.
It'd be nice to have been able to go out of the pier, but I guess they're a little too high.
It's not very often that you see them this big, although lately the pier has been closed quite a bit.
Now, the strongest waves are expected to be south of Del Mar, and this high surf advisory is going to last until Sunday, 8 o'clock. Here in Ocean Beach, Jessica Chen, 10 News.
Thank you, Jessica. Meteorologist Craig Herrera is tracking those dangerous conditions. Craig, can we expect that through the rest of the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow afternoon as well. Not quite as big, but yeah, the sets keep coming in from the west and northwest. So we'll give you another great shot as we look out from Cardiff. You can see those sets coming in about every 18 seconds or so. I was out at La Jolla yesterday. Very impressive. All the surfers enjoying it. Very nice. All right, sets right now. 5 feet from, over from San Clemente all the way down to La Jolla. 8 once you get closer to the south end of the bay, close to IB. So water temperatures are still in the low 60s. Very nice with our water temperatures. We've been talking about El Nino, keeping those waters very warm. All right, we still have that high surf advisory in place up and down our entire coast. Right through tomorrow at 8 p.m. Tomorrow's set's not quite as high. Tomorrow we'll have about another 8 to 5 foot sets. Today we had a couple closer to 9 and 10, but those come down just a couple of feet tomorrow. Riel coming up in a moment. We'll talk about just how nice this weather is and how long it's going to be with us.
All right, Craig, we will wait for that. You can always check the current conditions in your neighborhood on the free 10 News mobile app. A new development on the 2 local high school students who faced expulsion for accidentally bringing knives on campus. Escondido police will not charge them with a misdemeanor. 2 weeks ago, school police found knives in the boys' trucks. Both boys said the knives were left from fishing trips. The school board decided late last night that the boys can stay in school. A frightening morning for a National City man and his friends when their car plunged into Mission Bay. That driver crashed into the water at a sharp turn. 3 men inside were able to get out of the car but were far from safe. 2 of them could not swim. Luckily, 2 soldiers happened to be in the area. They jumped into the water and pulled the men out. Coming up tonight at 6 o'clock, hear from the driver about what he says led to the crash. Well, who has the right to release video captured on police-worn body cameras? According to a new memo released today, the city attorney says it is Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman. Under San Diego's charter, the chief is in control of all property, although the council can amend the law. Mayor Kevin Faulkner responded to the memo earlier today, as did City Council member Todd Gloria, who said these kinds of legal issues surrounding body cam video should have been hashed out before the cameras were in use.
The object is to make sure that we have a set of guidelines and a policy that is clear, that is fair and makes sense. I'm confident that we're going to be able to do that.
What should be the rules of engagement? How should these things work? What right does the public or others have to access information on these related technologies?
Well, this comes after 10 News, along with other media outlets, fought for the release of video of the deadly police shooting in the Midway district of Rashawn Nahad. Police contended that video was part of an ongoing investigation. A judge ordered that it be released. A devastating scene out of Sorrento Valley where a motorcyclist was killed. Police say the man was turning onto Calle Cristobal from Camino Santa Fe late last night. They say he lost control, went into oncoming traffic, and laid his bike down. A woman who happened to be driving an SUV could not stop in time and ran him over. The motorcyclist died at the scene. Happening now, a dangerous cold snap hitting the East Coast. While the storm isn't bringing much snow to the region, at least 3 people died and dozens more taken to the hospital during a snow squall in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The drifting snow triggered a 50-car pileup, shutting down an interstate. Meanwhile, in New York City, temperatures are so frigid, even fountains are freezing over. Everyone is bundled up in some layers. Some say they are planning to hibernate.
We're not going to see you till Monday morning?
No, you're not going to see me till Monday morning till the temperature go back up when it get warm. I'm not coming outside, nothing. It's too low. It's too low.
All right, we can understand that. Forecasters expect temperatures to drop at around -7 degrees, but it'd feel more like -30 outside. Meantime, back here in San Diego, the weather, well, couldn't be much better as people around the county celebrate the Chinese New Year. The lion dancers wowed the audience in the Chinese New Year food and cultural fair downtown. Hundreds of people enjoyed music and dances performed by local community groups. Our very own Robert Santos and Melissa Messiha emceed the opening ceremonies. This is the 34th year of that event. Well, scam artists targeting families on Facebook. The Disneyland offer that is too good to be true, and the telltale signs it's a fake. And a dance they will never forget, the unexpected and heartwarming moment for 2 girls missing their dad on deployment.
All right, do you like this sunshine and warmer weather? If so, get ready for more. But if you want some rain, I'll pinpoint the day we'll have a chance of getting a few showers.
Yes or no?
Well, dogs can now run off the leash in their own park in Mid-City. Today, the new temporary dog park at Ward Canyon Neighborhood Oak Park opened up today. The area used an undeveloped land and now has fenced areas for dogs to play. The ribbon cutting comes nearly 1 year to the day since residents held a rally to expand the park. Many agreed the dog park was needed in the community.
To get in your car and have to drive 20 minutes every time you want to let your dog off the leash, it's not very convenient at all. This is 5 minutes. I can even walk here with the dog, so it's much more convenient.
The city is still figuring out the budget to expand the park permanently. A concern over the Zika virus has one of the country's biggest tourist destinations taking action. The governor of Hawaii has signed an emergency proclamation over Zika and other mosquito-borne illnesses. He's calling it a preventative measure, freeing up state money and resources. He says people should not be worried. No one has been infected in Hawaii. The Zika virus has prompted global concern over links to birth defects and to miscarriages here in the United States. Scam artists are targeting families on Facebook. At first glance, it appears to be a coupon for 4 free tickets to Disneyland. The offer claims to be valid until February 25th, but it is a scam. If you take a closer look, the coupon has misspelled words, and all of the restaurants it mentions are in Disney World in Florida. Scammers are trying to get personal information like phone numbers and social security numbers. New today, local girls got to be a part of an annual tradition, the father-daughter dance. The sisters went to the dance with their mother, but because their father was on deployment, but they got a very sweet surprise.
I miss you.
I miss you too. Ensign Michael Hadosky joined his daughters Carolina and Melody on the dance floor. He has been stationed in Washington State. The girls say it has been hard being so far away from Daddy.
It was about to make me cry. I was like so happy it was about to make me cry. And it was like the best time of all. I was so happy. I had no idea. And when I saw him, I was like, I couldn't believe he was here. I didn't think he was going to make it at all.
Well, the surprise was made possible by the USO of San Diego.
Weather Rate Certified San Diego's most accurate forecast. This is 10 News Pinpoint Weather. Sponsored by Great Wolf, where it's always 84 degrees.
So sweet to see those girls so happy. I was really happy to see the weather outside. I had the same reaction.
I think you're going to like the week ahead then, Ria. Yeah, it's so nice to see their faces so lit up. Yeah. Cupid bringing a whole bunch of sunshine to San Diego through Sunday if you like this nice warm weather. I do have this slight chance for a little bit of rain in the 7-day forecast. Let's get started with our first shot as we look out over from our Hotel Del off toward Point Loma. Good evening to you in Point Loma and in Coronado. Very, very nice. All right, Poway, a couple of high thin clouds up overhead, but overall the temperature's very nice, mild. 72 Escondido, Chula Vista, you're at 62 now, 61 in Carlsbad. Temperature change from 24 hours ago, 4 to 8 degrees cooler than it was. Here's the reason. Nice, decent sea breeze coming on through. While it's not gusty, 9 miles per hour or so at El Cajon, it's enough to bring the numbers down and give us a couple of high thin clouds. Relative humidity's come up just a little bit, 70 to 80% along the coast. Inland, we're still about, under 50%, but thanks to that good onshore breeze, that's changing things. However, say goodbye to the onshore breeze. Our area of high pressure continues to build on up over us. Nice system in the Pacific Northwest goes way up and over us. The offshore winds get strong again to take us through this week ahead. So another warm week. It's getting warmer every day. In fact, we'll be in the mid-60s at the coast, mid-80s inland, mid-70s across the mountains, and mid-80s for the deserts, remaining very dry. And again, we do have a high surf advisory for west-northwest swells at 5 to 8 foot sets throughout the day tomorrow. Tonight, we drop into the 40s, a couple of 50s, a couple of high thin clouds. Not bad at all. Very nice evening. Highs tomorrow, we actually come up about 2 to 4 degrees. 84 over to places like Poway and El Cajon, mid-80s there. 74 National City. Chula Vista, you're back at 78. Point Loma, 67. Right along the coast, we'll continue with mid to upper 60s. 84 Santee, 84 in Miramar. We've got mostly mid-80s over to Escondido Valley Center. Carlsbad, 72. across the deserts, mid-80s. Your extended forecast at the coast. Very nice. President's Day, fantastic, near 70. Slight chance of some very light scattered showers on Thursday. It doesn't look very good. The system looks very impressive on the radar, but by the time we get here, it falls apart. 90 degrees, 94 on Monday and Tuesday for the inland locations. Riel, is it summer? What is going on? You like it, right? Mid-70s for the mountains. Again, a very slight chance for a couple of light showers on Thursday. Mostly what we're going to get from that is a good solid sea breeze and a lot of cloud cover. And that's about it. And then after that, it's out of here. So, you know, deserts tomorrow, 87 or so, but low to mid-90s on President's Day and Tuesday.
It feels like we hit the sweet spot finally. It was a little hot. We got the sweet spot today.
It's going to be great for Valentine's.
Oh, that's nice. Got big plans.
Ooh, I like it.
All right, thanks, Greg. Well, there is something about Pebble Beach that brings out the best in Phil Mickelson. Up next, how Lefty has put himself in a good spot to pick up his 5th win at the legendary course.
It's just pronounced.
I'm sure that's really, I've never been up there.
It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, it's so romantic.
It's so romantic, Ralph.
It's like northern California, right?
Yeah.
Phil Mickelson, baby from San Diego, but he's always felt right at home playing at Pebble Beach, a 4-time winner of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am and in contention once again. Of course, Bill Murray, always a fan favorite at the Pro-Am. He'll sign anything. Mickelson, a fan favorite as well, looking for his first win since 2013, playing the 8th hole here. A birdie that got him to 12 under par. That was good, but how about this from off the green? No one does this better than Lefty in the cup. Another birdie. Tied for the lead at -13. Then on the back 9, he kept it going. Drops in the short bird right there. That gave him the lead at 15 under. Lefty was dialed in here on 7. His 16th hole, just enough. Falls in. 3 straight birdies. Mickelson shoots a 66, leads by 2 shots heading into Sunday.
It's fun to just have a chance going into Sunday. It's great that I'm leading, but it's fun to be back in the thick of it, to have a chance like I did at Phoenix or at the Hope, just to be in contention is fun. And so to head in tomorrow's round at Pebble Beach with an opportunity is it's what I've been waiting for.
Hope he can get it done. All right, for the first time since late December, the Aztecs will take the court coming off a loss. With their 11-game winning streak snapped in Fresno the other night, they'll look to start a new win streak tonight as they take on Air Force.
You must learn, but you must move forward. The old theme, don't let Fresno beat you twice. We have to say we want to start another win streak.
What happened, and we have to stay focused on our next game and not hang on to the past. So we still been just as focused and moving on.
And to win tonight, the Aztecs could hold on to their 3.5-game lead with 5 games to play. More college basketball for you. Number 6, Kansas on the road at 3rd-ranked Oklahoma. 3 minutes to play. Jordan Woodard with the 3. And the foul. Sooners took the 69-66 lead, but Kansas would close on a 10-3 run. Devontae Graham from the corner there. Kansas comes away with a 76-72 win. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
President Obama is expected to make a statement about the passing of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia any minute now. We will bring it to you live right here on ABC 10. That's going to do it for us for 10 News at 5 o'clock. We leave you with a live look outside the beautiful sunset happening right now over downtown San Diego. We hope to see you back here right at 6 o'clock.
Justice on the nation's high court, a towering figure known for his blistering dissents, his strict interpretation of the Constitution. The court and the conservative movement suffering a huge loss. Team coverage tonight. Plus, the extreme freeze and a deadly whiteout. A sudden snow squall triggers a massive accident, shutting down a major interstate.
Just sounded like 2 bombs went off.
More than 40 people rushed to the hospital. And Carolina clash. Republicans gearing up for a big debate. Trump versus Cruz.
It's going to get nastier and nastier and nastier.
Find out where he gets his money.
And so much on the line for Rubio, Kasich, and Bush.
This is ABC World News Tonight.
And good evening. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Tom Yamas, and let's get right to that breaking news. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has died. He passed away in his sleep while on a hunting trip in Texas. Justice Scalia was the longest-serving justice on the high court, an imposing conservative force, win or lose. Chief Justice John Roberts calling Scalia, quote, an extraordinary individual and jurist admired and treasured by his colleagues. President Obama offering condolences to Justice Scalia's family. We begin with ABC's Martha Raddatz on the justice who helped shape the bench.
Place your left hand on the Bible.
Antonin Scalia was appointed to the High Court by Ronald Reagan in 1986, a lifelong paradigm of conservatism. He was famous for his acerbic, blunt dissents. That earned him a reputation of being combative, though many who knew him personally said he was both charming and funny. One of his closest friends on the court, liberal Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. For most of his time on the bench, Scalia exemplified judicial restraint, but he was capable of puzzling his conservative counterparts at times, ruling to uphold free speech in a Texas flag-burning case and striking down a prohibition on hate speech. Contrarily, he worked to limit the right to abortion and was unapologetic about his role in Bush v. Gore, the ruling that handed the 2000 election to George W. Bush. Just last year, Scalia made headlines voicing his dissent over the 6-3 decision to uphold a key component of the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare, calling it interpretive jiggery-pokery, in which words no longer have meaning, saying the law should now be called SCOTUS care. One day later, when the High Court ruled for same-sex marriage, Scalia wrote the ruling was at odds not only with the Constitution, but with the principles upon which our nation were built. Scalia, who over the years had become the anchor of the court's conservative majority, was confirmed by the Senate 30 years ago, 98-0. And just a short time ago, former President George W. Bush released a statement about the death of Justice Scalia, saying he was a brilliant jurist and important American. Tom?
Martha Raddatz for us tonight. Martha, thank you. Now let's get to ABC's Terry Moran, who covers the Supreme Court for us. He joins us from Mexico City, where he's on assignment covering the Pope's trip to Mexico. Terry, the court has lost a force tonight, and conservatives have lost a titan. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. Justice Antonin Scalia, just a towering presence on that court and in American law in general. A hero to conservatives, an archenemy for liberals because of the force and the eloquence and often the effectiveness of how he hammered into law his bedrock belief, something he called textualism. Basically, he said the Constitution means what it meant when the founders wrote it and ratified it, that laws mean what they meant when Congress voted and passed them into law. And that, he said consistently for 30 years on the court. He won some, he lost a lot more. But win or lose, the force of his prose and his ideas was infectious. With all kinds of law professors, law students, judges, justices, and politicians. His legacy is in the court, in the law, and beyond in the conservative movement.
Terry, the so-called conservative wing of the Supreme Court, if you include Roberts and Thomas and Alito, fair to say that Scalia was the backbone of that wing?
He was, Tom. However, he was not really a team player. He was so full of himself, frankly, and his ideas that if you didn't come with him, he was willing to go his own way. And that's why his dissents ring out. He was free to write for himself. And he did because he was playing the long game. He wasn't tactically voting and trying to persuade other justices on a case. He was trying to set the terms of debate in the law. And like him or loathe him, and Americans do both. He wasn't a guy who inspired middle-of-the-road sentiments. He did that. He did change the terms of debate in American law, although he didn't always win.
Terry, thank you for your insight. I want to bring in now Chief White House Correspondent Jonathan Karl. John, there are 11 months left in Obama's presidency, and I know this news is still very fresh, but what are the chances that Obama will be able to pick Scalia's replacement?
I fully expect that the president will make a nomination, that he will nominate somebody to fill that seat. We have already heard from the Republicans who control the Senate, which would be responsible for confirming that nomination, that they believe that they should wait until the next president. Very sharp, simple statement from the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell that came out not long after news broke about Scalia's death, saying the American people should have a voice in the selection of their next Supreme Court justice, and therefore the vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president. So this will be a battle, Tom.
So, John, we have two campaigns right now. We're going to have an election. Can the Republicans really block it for the next 11 months?
The answer is yes, they can. They control the Senate. The first step would be Senate Judiciary Committee hearings. They can stop it right there by not scheduling those hearings. They can decline to hold a vote. They can delay this as long as they control the Senate.
Jonathan Karl from D.C. for us tonight. John, thank you. The death of the Supreme Court Justice shifting the focus of tonight's GOP debate. The candidates now focusing on the future of the court while taking aim at each other. ABC's Mary Bruce in South Carolina for us tonight.
Tonight, a critical moment in the GOP race for president. The candidates tearing each other apart, set to face off on a debate stage in South Carolina.
Find out where he gets his money.
Donald Trump and Ted Cruz poised for an ugly evening.
As it gets closer, it's going to get nastier and nastier and nastier, and they get personal, they get ugly.
And it's already pretty ugly. With one primary win each, Cruz and Trump are clobbering each other to take the third contest. Trump taking it to a new level, threatening to sue. Tweeting, if Ted Cruz doesn't clean up his act, stop cheating and doing negative ads, I have standing to sue him for not being a natural-born citizen. Cruz punching right back.
There's more than a little irony in Donald accusing anyone of being nasty.
Already looking beyond the primary, Cruz is taking on Clinton in a vicious new ad.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right.
Let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Senator Marco Rubio will try to turn things around and avoid a repeat of his dismal performance at the last debate. Ohio Governor John Kasich hoping to ride the wave of his strong second-place finish in New Hampshire, appealing to religious voters.
I found the Lord a long time ago.
Hi, Governor. How are you? He insists all the talk about his faith isn't part of a deliberate strategy.
Look, whether I win or lose, my life is great, and the Lord loves me. And so it is not about, like, I'm going to deploy something to win a vote. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
And Tom, every candidate here tonight has a lot to lose. South Carolina is known for picking the Republican nominee. So while Trump and Cruz duke it out at center stage, the other candidates will be trying to break through, reaching out to traditional conservative supporters. Tom?
Mary Bruce for us tonight. Mary, thank you so much. We want to let you know that we're waiting for any moment for the president to speak about the passing of Justice Scalia, and we will bring that to you as soon as it happens. But we do move on now to the extreme weather that's happening on the east coast of the country and a deadly traffic pileup. A sudden snow squall in central Pennsylvania. Take a look at that, causing dozens of cars to pile up on a major interstate. Dozens of people injured, 40 hospitalized, and 3 losing their lives. ABC's Eva Pilgrim reporting from Pennsylvania tonight.
It seemed to come out of nowhere, blinding snow triggering this massive pileup, killing 3 people, leaving at least 40 injured.
We have at least 15 people trapped on the westbound lane.
More than 50 vehicles on I-78 in Pennsylvania caught in the crash, 5 medical choppers rushing to the scene. One moment the road was clear, the next, whiteout conditions.
Have all EMS come to 78 and go westbound and eastbound lanes.
Snow squalls barreling across Pennsylvania highways today, catching drivers off guard.
It just sounded like 2 bombs went off. There was a couple people laying out, and trucks and cars all smashed, cars underneath tractor trailers, in between tractor trailers, and it's just total destruction.
Dozens of ambulances shuttling some of those drivers to a local firehouse to keep them out of the bitter cold. Tonight, everyone has been rescued, but cars and trucks still scattered on the interstate. Tom, you can see the cleanup is continuing. The interstate will remain closed until about midnight tonight. State officials asking people to stay off the roads unless they absolutely need to travel. Tom?
A mangled mess there behind you. All right, Eva, thank you. That squall part of a front that is also bringing Arctic cold from the Midwest to North Carolina all the way to Maine. More than 100 million people in its path. Take a look at this, minus 16 on the thermometer in Cedar Falls, Iowa. The few people who ventured out bundled up like this woman here in New York City. Here's ABC's Philip Mena with the dangerous weather.
Whiteouts mixed with bitter cold sweeping east tonight. What does it feel like?
Freezing.
More than 100 million people bearing bone-chilling temperatures. Cities across the Northeast declaring a code blue. Police racing to get the homeless off the street. New York City could feel the coldest air in years. Wind chills expected to dip to 40 below upstate. And that's where we find meteorologist Ender Peterson.
Here in Lake Erie, you can actually see the line of lake effect snow that is forming, something you should not be seeing in February, as the lake should be frozen over.
We've seen on thermal cameras how the body's heat escapes around collars and zippers.
The face is mostly cold.
Doctors urging people to take this weather seriously.
If you're out with exposed skin and as little as 10 to 15 minutes, you can start feeling symptoms of burning, stinging, pain.
After you've been in the cold, take your time warming up. Don't rub your hands together. That can only cause more damage. And use lukewarm water, not hot, to wash your hands. Another concern, your home's water pipes. Keep a steady drip so those pipes don't freeze. And know where that shutoff valve is in case they burst.
Should you have a pipe freeze? Should you have a pipe burst? You need to know how to shut it off.
And Tom, another tip to prevent those pipes from freezing, experts say that you should keep the thermostat in your home at a consistently warm temperature.
And inside your home is exactly where you should be tonight. Officials are advising people in this region to stay inside. Tom?
Philip Manna with some important tips tonight. Philip, thank you. Overseas now to new finger pointing over the war in Syria. Russia and the U.S. trading barbs over how that war is being waged, dimming hopes for a ceasefire that had been under discussion. Those failures leaving the flood of refugees with little hope. ABC's Alex Marquardt reporting from the Syria-Turkey border tonight.
Relentless Russian airstrikes have reduced towns and villages in northern Syria to rubble and allowed the Assad regime to besiege its biggest city, Aleppo. The offensive has sent a new flood of Syrians, some 50,000, toward the border with Turkey. Aid groups are now frantically building tents amid fears that hundreds of thousands more will soon be on their way.
Turkey is keeping the border closed for now. There's been a steady stream of trucks like this one delivering aid to the displaced inside Syria. The few who are being allowed out are the wounded from the fighting.
At the main hospital, we met 18-year-old Anas Salawi. He told us that those Russian airstrikes had leveled the villages where he's from, so his family moved, only to have the house they were in struck as well. Shrapnel from the blast paralyzing him from the waist down. Watchdog groups say the Russian air campaign has killed 1,000 civilians. Russia denies targeting them. Today, the U.S. accused Russia of focusing its bombing on rebels instead of ISIS and al-Qaeda. There is a glimmer of hope. The U.S. and Russia have announced a ceasefire in Syria to begin next week. But that hope threatened by distrust and ever-deepening divisions. Alex Marquardt, ABC News, on the Turkey-Syria border.
And still ahead tonight, you will see and hear the moment 1,400 workers learn their jobs are moving to Mexico.
ABC World News Tonight, brought to you by Cialis.
This just got interesting. Why pause to take a pill? Or stop to find a bathroom? Cialis for daily use is approved to treat both erectile dysfunction and the urinary symptoms of BPH, like needing to go frequently, day or night. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions and medicines and ask if your heart is healthy enough for sex. Do not take Cialis if you take nitrates for chest pain or Adepis for pulmonary hypertension, as it may cause an unsafe drop in blood pressure. Do not drink alcohol in excess. Side effects may include headache, upset stomach, delayed backache, or muscle ache. To avoid long-term injury, get medical help right away for an erection lasting more than 4 hours. If you have any sudden decrease or loss in hearing or vision, or any symptoms of an allergic reaction, stop taking Cialis and get medical help right away. Ask your doctor about Cialis and a $200 savings card.
At Ally Bank, no branches equals great rates. It's a fact. Kind of like vacations equal getting carried away.
This is an ABC News special report.
And good evening, I'm Tom Yamas at ABC News headquarters in New York. We are coming on the air because President Obama is set to speak about the passing of Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Justice Scalia passed away in his sleep while on a hunting trip in Texas. He was the longest serving justice on the high court and an imposing conservative force, win or lose. Chief Justice John Roberts calling Scalia, quote, an extraordinary individual and jurist admired and treasured by his colleagues. We are awaiting the president to speak at any moment now from Southern California, where he was on vacation. We understand that the president is intending to possibly nominate someone before his presidency is up. Now, Republican senators have said they will block any nomination until the election is over, which is still 11 months from now. And as we said, at any moment, the president will take the podium there. Justice Scalia was 79 years old. We understand he was on a hunting trip in the western part of Texas, and he apparently died from natural causes. Senior White House correspondent Jonathan Karl joins me now. And John, what do we expect the president to say?
Well, I expect the president to, well, here he is.
Good evening, everybody. For almost 30 years, Justice Antonin Nino Scalia was a larger-than-life president on the bench. A brilliant legal mind with an energetic style, incisive wit, and colorful opinions. He influenced a generation of judges, lawyers, and students, and profoundly shaped the legal landscape. He will no doubt be remembered as one of the most consequential judges and thinkers to serve on the Supreme Court. Justice Scalia dedicated his life to the cornerstone of our democracy, the rule of law. Tonight, we honor his extraordinary service to our nation and remember one of the towering legal figures of our time. Antonin Scalia was born in Trenton, New Jersey, to an Italian immigrant family. After graduating from Georgetown University and Harvard Law School, he worked at a law firm and taught law before entering a life of public service. He rose from Assistant Attorney General for the Office of Legal Counsel to the judge on the D.C. Circuit Court to Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. A devout Catholic, he was the proud father of 9 children and grandfather to many loving grandchildren. Justice Scalia was both an avid hunter and an opera lover, a passion for music that he shared with his dear colleague and friend, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Michelle and I were proud to welcome him to the White House, including in 2012 for a state dinner for Prime Minister David Cameron. And tonight, we join his fellow justices in mourning this remarkable man. Obviously, today is a time to remember Justice Scalia's legacy. I plan to fulfill my constitutional responsibilities to nominate a successor in due time. There will be plenty of time for me to do so and for the Senate to fulfill its responsibility to give that person a fair hearing and a timely vote. These are responsibilities that I take seriously, as should everyone. They're bigger than any one party. They are about our democracy. They're about the institution to which Justice Scalia dedicated his professional life and making sure it continues to function as the beacon of justice that our founders envisioned. But at this moment, we most of all want to think about his family. And Michelle and I join the nation in sending our deepest sympathies to Justice Scalia's wife, Maureen, and their loving family, a beautiful symbol of a life well lived. We thank them for sharing Justice Scalia with our country. God bless them all, and God bless the United States of America.
And we were just listening to President Obama talking about the passing of Justice Scalia, calling him a remarkable man, and also saying that right now him and Michelle Obama, the First Lady, are thinking about the Scalia family, but saying he intends to fulfill nominating a successor to the Supreme Court. And with that, I'd like to bring in senior White House correspondent Jonathan Karl. Now, Jonathan, we just heard the president say he plans on doing this. Will he be able to get it done?
Well, he can certainly nominate a replacement, and I fully expect that he will. But the question is, will the Republican-controlled Senate move on that nomination? Will they hold hearings on that nomination? Will they schedule a vote on that nomination? The word from the Republican Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, is that he believes that the appointment and replacement of Scalia should be done by the next president, and I would expect that they will not move forward whatsoever on this. But this will be quite a battle. It'll be a battle that will play out not only here in Washington between the White House and Congress, but on the campaign trail. And on the campaign trail as well, we've already heard from Hillary Clinton saying that she believes that the Congress has a constitutional responsibility to act on a replacement. And we've heard from Republican presidential candidates saying that they have absolutely they think there is no way that President Obama should be the person that would be replacing in his last year in office, his last months in office, the person who has been the constitutional icon, the constitutional ballast of the Supreme Court. So this will be a battle to play out here in Washington and on the campaign trail.
Yeah, the president's set to face one of his most heated political battles just before he exits the White House. Jonathan Karl, thank you so much for your help tonight. And we're going to return now to regular programming, which for some of you is World News Tonight. There will be much more on this tomorrow on Good Morning America, as well as this week, and World News Tonight as well tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night.
This has been a special report from ABC News.
And welcome back. We resume with World News Tonight with Pope Francis' historic trip to Mexico. The pontiff's first full day on the ground, tens of thousands of the faithful cheering him along the way, a face-to-face meeting with Mexico's president, the Pope preaching against corruption to all.
Repeat after me. I, Antonin Scalia, do solemnly swear.
I, Antonin Scalia, do solemnly swear.
That I will support and
kind of a domino effect, is that could affect, throughout the country, races such as Senate races and governor's races, et cetera. If the Republicans are looking like the bad people, like when Newt Gingrich was Speaker, and he tried to shut down the government, et cetera, we lost a couple dozen congressional seats just because of that. So
really,
you never know.
Beta Ginsburg, the thing is, she was always like the next to be off, right? The next to, people thought she's. Next on 10 News at 6, team coverage of the breaking news on the Supreme Court. Our political analyst weighs in on how the death of Justice Antonin Scalia could shake a critical election year. And a local community leader dies in a hit-and-run crash. We're live with how friends say she dedicated her life to making the city better for everyone.
Ten News begins with breaking news.
A shock to the nation's high court. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia has died. Known for his sharply worded dissents and attacks on liberalism, Scalia's death rattling American politics in a critical election year. Good evening, I'm Riel Creighton. Just hours after that news broke, top Republicans taking to Twitter vowing to keep President Obama from appointing a replacement. 10 News has complete coverage. Our political analyst offering insight into how this will impact an already charged election season. We'll begin with ABC News reporter Lana Zak in Washington, D.C. with the mark he left on the court.
Good evening. Justice Scalia's passing, his sudden death, has the potential to be a political game changer as the anchor of the court's conservative wing passes in the dusk of a liberal presidency.
Associate Justice Antonin Scalia was found dead of apparent natural causes at a resort in West Texas. He reportedly died in his sleep. Scalia was the longest-serving justice on the current United States Supreme Court, nominated by President Ronald Reagan in 1986.
Getting nominated to the Supreme Court is the culmination of a dream, of course, and I'm greatly honored that the president would have such confidence in me.
He was confirmed unanimously by the Senate and became the first Italian-American member of the court. Scalia quickly became the anchor of judicial conservatism, fiercely at odds with what conservatives call judicial activism.
Through the sheer force of his personality, he, for 3 decades, led the conservative movement in American law to roll back the era of liberal activism.
Scalia, nicknamed Nino, was widely known for his high intellect, his elegant writing, and his caustic wit. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a statement calling his late colleague, quote, an extraordinary individual and jurist, admired and treasured by his colleagues. Antonin Scalia leaves behind a wife and 9 children. He was 79.
And with Scalia's passing, there is already political jockeying. Some GOP leaders saying President Obama should not be the person to select Scalia's successor. Instead, they say the next president should have that honor. Reporting live from Washington, Lana Zak, ABC News. Back to you.
Political analyst John Dadian joining us now. John, we are already seeing some top Republicans, as you just heard, that have vowed to stop President Obama from being able to appoint the next justice. President Obama saying that he will do that. How likely is that to happen? How likely will they be able to prevent that?
I think very likely, because the actual rules procedures favor the Republicans, because the Republicans do have control of the Senate, and including in that control is the Senate Majority Leader, Mitch McConnell, and he's the one that can decide whether or not it goes to the full floor or not, and you have to go to the full floor for confirmation.
Okay, we talked about the shock waves already that this is going to create on the court. It was morning, and then we're already talking about what this means for the future of the court. There were cases that Scalia heard, some very big cases while he was alive. What does this mean then?
Well, they can still continue. Again, the regulations are they can still continue and make decisions, although it'll be 8 people voting on it. But also, in addition to the cases already heard where Scalia was on the bench, there are some cases before their break that they haven't heard yet. So now they'll be hearing it with 8 justices. And then they take a summer break, and then they come back the first Monday in October. So if Republicans have their way, even when they come back into session, it'll still be a vacant seat.
Okay, the other big question, I mean, this is a highly charged election year. I don't need to tell you that. What does this mean for the campaign, for the next president? What does this mean?
Oh, clearly this is going to be one of the main issues now. We thought other things, possibly climate change, a few other issues might be the main issue on the 2016 presidential campaign. This is going to be the issue because, again, using Scalia as an example, whoever gets appointed by whomever will have an impact for decades to come. So clearly it's going to be the main issue throughout the summer.
John Dadian, thank you so much for your insight. Very good insight. We appreciate having you here.
Good to see you.
Well, good to see you too. As you just heard moments ago, President Obama remembered the life of Justice Scalia, saying he'll honor Scalia's commitment to the law.
I plan to fulfill my constitutional responsibilities to nominate a successor in due time. There will be plenty of time for me to do so and for the Senate to fulfill its responsibility to give that person a fair hearing and a timely vote.
Antonin Scalia served on the Supreme Court for almost 30 years. Now, every major development in this story, the minute that it happens, download the new free 10 News mobile app to find out when the nominees are named and when Scalia's replacement is chosen.